It was all good just a week ago. They say you make plans and God laughs. June and July, I was finally putting it all together. Good work-life balance, poker going well, staying to my budget, paying down my bills. I even set aside a little bit of money to go to Seattle as a celebration for sticking with my goals. Then, 3 days before my flight, I get this notification from one of the poker sites I play on that they're leaving Canada within a month. This means that more than half of my poker hourly will vanish before the end of September. In the past few months, it's been probably $15 an hour or more. And it's by far the softest site that I play on. Seeing that notification was such a gut punch. Initially, I booked this trip to Seattle so I could watch a baseball game with the Mariners. I could go check out a bunch of coffee shops and film some coffee content that I could put on one of my YouTube channels. But the timing couldn't have been worse. Years ago, there were dozens of sites to play heads up, and if you played on just one of those sites, you could make a living at it. Eventually, that number went down to about 10 sites, and you probably needed to play at 1 or 2 to make a living. That number was 5 last year, and now it's gone to 4. And not only is there only 4 left, but you pretty much have to play on maybe 3 or 4 of the ones left to make a living at it. And heads-up poker isn't like other types of poker. You have to battle for the lobbies to have access to the recreational players. This means that going forward, I have to battle a bunch of different regular players, full-time players, in order to kick them out of the game and make a living. Up until now, I've been able to make a good enough hourly not having to battle. I've done some battling in the past to earn the spots that I currently have. However, one of the sites that I play on that I wasn't really treating as a high priority site has quite a few regulars that I feel like I can battle and kick out. But playing recreational players for 8 hours a day is already draining. Surprisingly, even though they're making fairly straightforward decisions, you're making hundreds of decisions over the course of an 8-hour day, maybe even 1,000 decisions. And so you actually get mentally fatigued just playing casual players who are just clicking buttons and fooling around. It changes dramatically when you start playing regulars. I don't know how you could measure it on, caloric intake, but I'd be willing to bet that on a day where I battle good players for like 6 hours a day, multiple tables, I'm sure my brain is burning like 500 more calories. It feels draining. And at times when I had to battle multiple different good players and have to study those guys' different strategies in order to battle for those tables and lobbies, it was very difficult. And one of the main reasons, well, not the main reason, but one big reason why I work out often is so that I can sit and focus longer, because it's been a point of pride for me that I've been able to outlast a lot of these players where I'm willing to play, for 4 or 6 hours in a row, and they play for maybe an hour or 2 and quit. So I've battled before when I've worked part-time or full-time jobs, or where I've had roommates or really low bills. I've never had the pressure of needing to have my bills paid with poker while battling, because even if you're the better player, you can actually run in the short term bad enough to lose money. I've had times where I was up several $100s mathematically against a player, but I've lost money. I was down a couple $100. Right now in my life, I have some very thin margins. I have a van that's been reliable so far, but a big expense would probably take this whole thing down, the whole poker thing. And if these guys run well and get lucky in the start, some of them might want to continue to battle because they're going to feel like they have the comfort of extra buy-ins to sort of figure me out. And it's going to involve a lot of studying. I'm going to try to study something like 10 or 20 hours if these guys continue to come back and play me. Part of me thinks that it's going to take 300 games at the most. I think a lot of these guys might just back down. So far, I've played 50 games over the last couple of years against one of them. I'd be surprised if he continues, but you never know with these guys. So I'm mentally preparing myself to play 2,000 games over the next 2 months against these good players. And if I can do that and play my game and things go even just normal, not even trying to get lucky, just not trying to get unlucky, then I think this journey continues as planned. And hopefully in November, I can do a trip to Brazil. I'm looking into going to Rio de Janeiro, maybe spending the month there. But all of this is contingent on keeping poker as a lifeline for me. About 4 or 5 months ago, I kind of predicted something like this was going to eventually happen. And I started switching to 6-max poker, which no sites have ever gotten rid of. And I feel like it's going to take about 6 months to 12 months to make a comparable hourly in that game. It's a lot more complex. Instead of just you and one other player, you're dealing with 5 other players, 4 other players, depending on the table. All the dynamics change, all the hands that everyone plays change, and it's a steep learning curve at the start, but it actually has a higher ceiling as well going forward. So not only would it be less pressure because you're playing less hands per hour on individual tables, you get a bit of a breather. The games that I play, you both put in money to play the game, and one person leaves with all the money. Whereas in Heads Up, if I want to take a break, I don't have to wait 5 to 20 minutes till this game ends to go take a break. I can just pause the table. So there's actually quite a lot of other benefits to playing these games, but right now I have to battle these players in order to get the runway to learn that other game on the side over the next 6 to 12 months while doing all the YouTube stuff, while trying to still do some traveling and, enjoying my life. It's a lot right now. So basically the way that battling works is the stakes that you play, the buy-ins that you play for Heads Up, you'll have 2 or 3 tables that'll open up, and you'll have a handful of regulars that'll be sitting at those tables. And if you play on a site that only has 1 or 2, and there's, let's say, 5 regulars, once that 1 regular gets a game, a new table will pop up. But if there's 5 of you and a new table pops up and a bunch of you are all trying to battle to get that new one when it pops up, it's going to pit you guys against each other, where maybe a few of you are trying to get that next table, and eventually you have to figure out a hierarchy. And for the last couple of years, because I've been able to not battle, because it is mentally draining, and if you can find softer places to make money, it's worth it, I guess. But now that site represents kind of one of the last places I can really continue playing poker full time, I have to go there on a daily basis and kick out guys that I know I'm better than. And how do you find that out? There's a few ways. Number one is to play them. You can play these players, study the things they're doing, figure out where their mistakes are. We all make mistakes. I just feel like I make fewer mistakes than some of these players, and that over 100 or 200 games, however many they want to play me back, their mistakes are going to show up on the scorecard more than mine. And a couple days ago, I sat a couple tables against a couple of different guys, and they both backed down. I have a list of about 6. There's 2 or 3 other ones that kind of have already backed down on a general sense. But when you're doing it on a daily basis for weeks, it's not the same thing. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. I mean, in a sick way, I'm actually kind of looking forward to the challenge. I've battled thousands of games against players that are better than the guys I know I'm about to take on. And I know, based on how we've already been playing, their style has not improved. They're sort of I don't want to go too much into the boring details of it, but they are making mistakes that I know are mistakes. So anyways, the long story short of it is, over the next 2 months, if I want to keep this poker train going, I have to battle against a half a dozen to maybe a dozen good players. Kind of like Dexter killing other serial killers. It's that same sort of thing. You're fighting other predators for access to the fish. And I'm up for the challenge. So if you're watching, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, see if I actually make it. The next 2 months are going to be interesting.